Yeah.
Hi, everyone. It's Laurel Dietz from Millennial Legal Coaching, and I'm here with Angela Farley.
Morning.
Yeah, so we're just back with our first divorce chat of 2023. And we wanted to talk about kind of like two little things that happen on divorces. One thing I hear all the time is, oh, I just want this to be over. And I'm like, okay. Yeah,
As soon as possible.
I don't think I've ever met someone who's like, I love this. I want my divorce to continue forever. I'm not saying don't say that. I fully appreciate, I just want this to be over. And that's sentiment. It's an uncomfortable process, right?
Yes.
And, I think part of that uncomfortable process is like the hardest thing to do after you've ended a relationship with someone and you decide you don't really like them anymore at all is to be kind and decent to them. Now, some people that's not hard. Some people they end the relationship and they do want to be kind and decent to the other party. For some people that is really challenging, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We want to see them like what they end up doing is like they're so done with the relationship that they burn whatever. They don't want any contact with the person. They don't want to see them. They burn the bridges, right? And go to great lengths, I think, sometimes to do so. And what I've noticed as a lawyer, and this is a very, very delicate thing, a very nuanced thing, is that, it's important to pick your battles about where you're going to start drawing your lines and putting up your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when someone feels like they're not being treated, or in a respectful, when they're not being treated with common decency, right? Common respect that you would show another human being, then they react, right? And there are consequences. They don't forget that. And so when you're in the midst of a negotiation, right, that sourness in their brain is going to be reflect in the kind of proposals that are being made.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then, you also then have this other mind come in that says, I just want this to be done. So I'm going to take this shitty proposal.
Yes. Yeah. Which is not a good place to be in either.
No. So I guess that's something like indulging yourself a little bit too much in that, like, I just need this to be over, is dangerous for a negotiation.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Giving away the farm just
essentially. Yeah.
So you can get away from this uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe what you have to do when you're going through a negotiation or working on this and going through a divorce is getting uncomfortable with discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us a bit about that, Angela? Sometimes have to get quite cozy with discomfort.
Well, nobody loves being, in that place, but I feel like that's when we do most of our growing as humans. So while it is uncomfortable at the time and not a place that you feel like you want to be or that you want to be there for very long, I try to look at the positives.
Mm-hmm. What do you tell your teenagers? How do you tell your teenagers to get through this stuff?
It's harder with them because, they're in the stage where I don't know anything. So often it doesn't really seem to matter what I tell them.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's hard. Like
in the back of their head, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Someday, years to come, they'll say, "Oh, you were so wise, Mom." Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody faces that with their teenagers, but I mean, like, what are the things that you are telling them so that they, and these are life lessons, so they're lessons for people going through divorce. What are the things that we tell people about how to get comfortable with the discomfort, right?
Definitely one of the things I have said to my daughter is, and I actually said this to her recently, is that, not responding is a boundary. And it's an okay one to use. If somebody, rather than we're talking about somebody saying some things that are untrue or saying some things maybe to get a reaction from you. And, you know, you don't need to respond when you react.
Yeah.
So your first reaction when somebody is, you know, saying these terrible things about you is to defend yourself. But do you have to? I mean, case with my daughter, it's somebody who's, you know, not important to her life, not important to her at all. It's just someone that she might pass in the hallways at school. And so in that instance, like, you don't have to respond, because my thoughts on that situation is they're doing it to engage you because they want some attention from you, negative or positive, they don't care, they just want a little bit of attention from you.
Yeah.
And so just saying nothing,
don't give them what they want.
Yeah.
Which is a very interesting, because that comes up all the time in separation divorce. The reason we bait our partners is to get that reaction. They want to continue to engage. And we see these divorces that go on forever, where it's the constant baiting and then reacting and then baiting and reacting, and like the bitterness going back and forth. And so the fastest way through it sometimes is not responding. And that is a good, healthy boundary to have. And the benefit of having like, just like maybe a non-response initially, because there's a line, you don't want to be an avoider either, because that can delay you. But the non-response initially is just like, if you can't, there's that stupid lesson, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. It's just essentially you're not making the situation more sour, right? You're not making it so that like you're burning absolute bridges, ramping it up, and so that's what I see is sometimes like people go to such great lengths to like communicate how much they don't want the other person to talk to them or have anything, to the point where they're like, don't even text me. And it's like, we're not talking about situations where there's family violence or there's been inappropriate texting or inappropriate emailing, just like, I don't want any contact with you, I want to pretend like you didn't exist. And it's like, you go to that great lengths to cut off the communication and communicate that like this other person is nothing to you. They will see that and they're like, well, then I don't care about you and I don't care about your future. And I'm going to go approach this divorce and negotiation getting everything that I absolutely can out of it. I'm not going to offer much. It's going to be much harder. So, you know, you don't, it's really an interesting dynamic, you know? Sometimes it's sort of like, if you had just been a little bit more kind or just even silent or business-like or transactional and ignoring the you know, things might have resolved faster.
Yeah.
I mean, and they might have resolved better for you. If you can settle a divorce or negotiation when you still have a little bit of kindness towards the other person, a little bit of compassion.
I think, yeah, both people are going to be happier. It's probably going to resolve quicker.
Yeah. Kindness and compassion.
Yeah. And then you can, you know, forget that they existed in your life.
Yes. Little steps, baby steps. But yeah, like kind of torching, like raising, like what do they used to do? They would burn the ground, salt and burn it. Like that's just, it's not effective. Like that is going to get you worse results and it's going to take longer. But it is like, on the other hand, right? It's worth it to be patient. It's worth it to take your time. It's worth it to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? And not be focusing so much on like, I just need this to be done, right? Just assume that it's going to last forever and you just need to get comfortable with it. And actually it will end. Every divorce ends at some point.
Yes. Yeah. Try and find the positives in that uncomfortableness. You're learning patience. You're learning hopefully healthier boundaries. You're learning probably, you know, good business communication, because that's how you should be communicating with the other party, as if it's a business contact of yours. I think so, right?
Yeah. These are hard lessons. And it's like, it's a whole transition. It's a life transition. No life transition goes fast, right? There's always lots of seeds that then have to be built and grown. And so if you're going to change your entire life, if anything's going to stick, you want it to take its time. I don't know, for all those women out there who've had babies, did you want to have a short, fast labor? Or did you want to have a little bit more of a gentle a little bit slower. Like I've always heard, I didn't, for any women who've had babies out there, I've often heard the ones where it's like, oh, the baby came out in an hour, was not pleasant.
I had one of those babies, and it was intense.
Yeah, having the friends who are like, there was no time for the drugs.
Nope, there was no time, and it was intense.
Yeah.
There's no other way I can explain it. It was, I think,
Yeah.
I've had both, one side of the spectrum to the other, one that was very, very long and drawn out, and then one that was very fast. And I think somewhere nice in the middle would have been lovely.
Just a little more life lessons we learn from just being in the world. All right. Well, anyway, I guess that's it for today. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If it was, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you know when we're posting. We typically are going to be posting on Fridays in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, and share with your friends.
Yes, and leave us a comment. If there's, something we've missed or something you'd like to add to the conversation, just drop us a comment.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much. Take care.